I have a confession to make. I never finished any games I played that had an end game. It doesn't matter if it's a cozy farm sim or a survival game or a war crime management games, I just never finished. With every new game, I keep telling myself, I will finish this game for the love of God, for once and only once, just this once. But I always end up wanting to start a new game instead of finishing it. This keeps happening again and again and again. Hopefully, it's not just me that runs into this issue, so let's talk about it today. Have you ever felt like you're really excited to start a new game? Like any new game. But then as you progress some more, the game starts to show flaws and bugs. Something starts to feel off, and then you start to think maybe adding some mods would fix it. So you just restart the whole game and this cycle repeats. There are many layers of reasons why restarting feels better than finishing the game, which we're going to get into one by one in a bit. I did start a quick Google search to see how many gamers face this issue, and I was quite surprised seeing the result. Now, don't quote me on this because the stats are everywhere and I find it a little bit hard to find the actual analytics on this, so we're just gonna go with what I find to be the most believable. Steam achievements show that often less than 30% of players finished a game's story. As I've said, this is roughly measured and the number differs depending on the game, but I think it's safe to say that at least 70% of players never finish the game we start. So, why does finishing feel so hard? The first reason, and I think also the biggest reason, is chasing the perfect start. This reason 100% depends on what type of game you're playing. I felt this the most with RimWorld, Oxygen Not Included, and maybe also Terraria. The first playthrough feels like a trap so that I could learn the mechanics of the game, you know? Early games give you a clean state and a lot of control. Certain games can have complicated synergies that tutorials simply cannot cover everything. You basically learn as you play, and naturally a lot of decisions that have been made seem like they could have been better. Therefore, restarting makes sense, or so we think. Have you ever felt like every beginning of a game feels like potential, and everything after that feels like consequences? Like a playthrough will never be perfect. There will always be challenges, accidents for players to fix. That is the whole point of gaming, isn't it? A good game will keep you hooked and keep throwing you uncertainty so that you can spend time and energy coming up with solutions. All I'm trying to say is we keep restarting the game because we want to chase the perfect start. But most of the time, that idea is unrealistic. Mistakes will always happen, especially with RPG games. Betty Boy 118 said, "How to get out of the habit of always trying to go for a perfect run. I have this habit, this way of playing games that goes back as far as I can remember, and it results in me really struggling to enjoy some really good games. I always try to get a perfect run in each level or overall in the game, even when the game is specifically designed around not getting perfect runs each time. If I lose a soldier in XCOM, I'll restart the level and try again. I recently downloaded Darkest Dungeon, which seems really cool, but losing heroes or coming out with so much stress they're functionally unusable really frustrates me. I cannot think of other examples at the moment, but I know there are plenty. The biggest issue is that the simple answer of just don't restart doesn't work either. If I play these games and do badly, making me want to restart and I can't, I feel frustrated and not want to play, or not be able to stop myself. But if I let myself restart and restart, I never get anywhere and get bored of the game. I know this is no fault of the game designers, just on the way I play. Does anyone else find they play games like this, or better yet, has anyone got a way to stop? Thank you. This is exactly my issue as well. I restart the game and then I feel kind of burned out with doing the same things over and over again, and it doesn't get me far before I feel like completely stopping it. Hence, I never finished games. This commenter said, tear the first page. It's advice a coworker gave me. We were specifically talking about really nice notepads and not wanting to sully them. But I think it applies to a lot. Take the first page and ruin it, then you won't worry about fucking up the rest because you've already messed up one of them. Intentionally make a bad choice early on and keep going. You can no longer get a perfect run achievement or anything, so what's the point of doing everything else perfectly? Make a mistake and accept it, then keep going. I seriously would go crazy. Maybe this advice would work for some people? Let me know what you think works best for you. In my personal opinion, I think we need to maybe change our mindset a little bit. Just like how life is never going to be perfect, gaming is the same thing. We're supposed to enjoy the silly moments and keep going despite the obstacles, right? Now, the second reason is the illusion breaks. At the start, the game feels bigger than it actually is, and restarting lets you stay in that illusion. If you think about it, early games always feel very exciting because there's a lot of the unknown. You only get a little bit of information, and your imagination fills in the gap. This is why early games can keep you engaged, while later games make you feel like something is missing. Because the more you play, the more you understand the system, not only things become more obvious and there are less to explore, but you also start to see flaws, repetition, and limits. Your excitement drops, you want to add a couple mods to the game and make things better, but let's face it never ends with a couple mods. So you keep adding and then you start a new game with these new features. The game becomes exciting again with all of these new unknown things to explore, which keeps your attention for a little while. But then you start to lose interest again heading into the mid-late game because getting to the end game isn't as fun as you think. I also gotta be honest with you, I feel like a lot of games make it extremely hard and repetitive to finish. I don't know if they do this because they want players to have longer hours of gameplay or what, but I usually feel that from mid-game onwards that a lot of games just become too grindy and I just don't enjoy it anymore. Acrobatic Luck said, "Why do games feel amazing at first but tiring after a few hours? I've noticed that some games feel incredible when you first start playing them. The visuals, mechanics, the hype hit perfectly in the beginning, but after a few hours or days, the experience starts to feel tiring instead of fun. You find yourself forcing sessions or quitting earlier than expected. What usually causes that shift in your experience?" PJD Sco said, "I have a huge problem that I often drop a game in the end of the second act. That is usually the point where the game starts to repeat its mechanics too much, in my opinion, often as a way to prolong the game rather than giving us more fun content." They're talking about the game that I haven't heard of, but I still decided to put in the video because this is a known issue in a lot of games, and I'm sure you can relate. Notbot said the way most RPGs are developed makes them front-loaded. Not just RPGs, but video games in general, developers spend a lot of time in the beginning levels since that's what everyone who plays the game will experience. I'm gonna put Stardew Valley here as an example. The early game is super fun. There are a lot of characters you don't know, and you're excited to unlock emotional quests with them. You're eager to try new methods to see which one can help you make the most money, etc., etc. And then after you've reached a decent herd levels with most NPCs, finished the main community quest, upgraded a big house for yourself, the rest of the game just feels like extremely repetitive. Late game items become extremely expensive to buy, which makes it grindy and not that fun. Community mini quests are also ridiculously hard to fulfill. Like tell me how I can gather 1,000 hardwoods in a week, 100 ginger roots in 30 days. It's just not that enjoyable. And this is supposed to be a cozy game. I do have to say though, I'm happy with the 130 hours I got out of the game considering how cheap it is. So this is not a criticism of the game, but just an example of how games are made and how completing them feels impossible sometimes. Okay, now in all fairness, we cannot approach this topic without talking about another huge reason why restarting feels better than finishing: the psychological aspect of our brain. Before you start a game, your brain is filling in the blanks. You're imagining possibilities, idealizing the experience, projecting how fun it could be. And anticipation often feels better than the actual experience because nothing has disappointed you yet. This is similar to getting ready for a date. It's sometimes much better than the actual date itself. Or another example I could think of is planning for a trip is much more enjoyable than the actual trip for a lot of people. Of course, there's always this reason as well, the dopamine spikes. Dopamine spikes when you expect a reward, explore something new, chase uncertainty, not when you've already gotten the reward. Therefore, starting a new game equals peak wanting phase. Mid or late game equals more having, which means less excitement. And here comes the novelty effect. The novelty effect is a psychological phenomenon where individuals exhibit a temporary increase in interest, performance, or engagement when encountering new or unusual or improved stimuli, which diminishes over time as the novelty wears off. Driven by a dopamine rush, this effect often leads to short-term spikes in productivity, learning, or user engagement following a change. Basically, our brains love new stimuli. New game gives you new mechanics, new visuals, new systems to figure out, Novelty equals instant engagement, but once things become familiar, your excitement drops. A very relatable and easy to understand example of the novelty effect is the typical honeymoon phase of every relationship. The early phase of a relationship is usually when you don't know much about them yet, which means more chances of discovering new things about them. And then when you discover something new about your partner, it triggers the reward pathway in your brain. This is why you usually feel butterflies in the early dating phase or excitement phase in early games. When everything is new, it feels exciting because it's all possibility, and nothing has had the chance to disappoint you yet. This applies in gaming and in real life. Not to mention, getting to the end game can be quite underwhelming sometimes. So maybe for a lot of people, leaving the game unfinished is better than completing it. Avengers Fix said, the obsession with endgame content is so wild to me. I don't understand the obsession with endgame content. People will drop thousands of hours into a game and then tell me it is bad because of the end game. A good example of this is Destiny 2. I have people telling that it is a bad game even though they have played it for years. They will cite that the dailies and the weeklies have gotten stale. I played Destiny 2 and I thought it was pretty good. Same with Diablo 3, The Division, and other looter shooters. I think the reason why I can say that I still like these games is because I only play the main story and the side quests and skip everything else. If you play the filler content, of course, you're gonna get bored. It's like people think that you should be able to play every video game forever now. It would be like playing Skyrim, beating everything, and then complaining that the randomly generated quests are boring, so therefore the game is bad. Getting to the end of the game is the game. Why do you need more after that? Anything else should be a bonus, not held against it. If you're getting bored of that content, it isn't a sign that the game is bad. It is a sign that you have seen everything that there is to see in that game and that you should find a new one to focus on. Honestly, I always feel like as long as you can get the decent hours of gameplay out of the game that you paid for, then it's good enough. Not getting to the end game is absolutely okay, especially if it starts feeling like a chore to finish. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like there's something kind of wrong with me for never finishing any game because a lot of hardcore games fans are obsessed with finishing games. And maybe they have longer attention spans than I do or something, but you know what? It's not such a big deal. I mean, unless you struggle to get to more than 10 hours of every new game because you get bored too quickly, then that's a real issue you should try to fix. Okay, now here comes the quote unquote fun part of the video, the min-maxers players. The you're playing it wrong players. I swear I get this a lot on stream. The backseaters, some games are worse than others, like way worse. RimWorld is one of them. Oxygen Not Included is another one. I could make a whole video talking about this topic of how RimWorld and Oni players are absolutely obsessed with optimizing the game. Look, it's not that deep, it's just a game. Don't tell me I'm playing it wrong or that I'm supposed to be doing this and not that. You get to play your game however you want, and I get to play mine however I want. Even if it means making dumb decisions and never getting to the end game, okay? Okay, you know me at this point in the video, it's about time I started to get a little deep. I think one way or another, we all want to do things the right way and we cannot escape from the perfectionism mindset. Maybe watching so many tutorial videos makes us feel like we're not playing the game the right way, so it'd be better to just restart the game and use all of the new knowledge we've learned instead. Not to mention, a lot of games nowadays have limitless sandbox options, and it's a little hard to only commit to one path. It could also be that life is so unpredictable at times that playing video games is usually an escape for a lot of people, and video games are a way for a lot of us to gain back control. We have more power in early games and late games, and it's easier to just restart the game to take back that power because you cannot do that in real life. Hitting the restart buttons in game is a lot easier than doing that in real life. By design, of course. Okay, enough of the philosophy talk. It could be that deep, or perhaps it's not that deep. Okay, as I've said, as long as nothing affects your life, and as long as you do get your money's worth out of the game, it's okay to not finish every game. It's okay to not play one game for more than 500 hours. Don't force yourself to complete it just because other players completed it. We're not always built the same, and it's alright. I would say if you can get 50 plus hours out of a game, then it's already worth your money. Unless it's more than $30, because I'm just stingy like that. I also want to say that it's okay to not ever have a perfect start or perfect playthrough. Same as our lives is never going to be perfect, but it's the little obstacles along the way that make it fun or meaningful. Let me know your experiences with this topic, and have you ever felt like it became such a chore trying to complete a game just for the sake of it? Make sure you give it a like and subscribe if you like the video. I post once a week and I talk a lot about gaming culture and sometimes internet culture. Until next time, take care and I will see you around. Bye bye.